It's safe to say that there's been nothing but great news across the past few days when it comes to Kuro Games and their absurdly successful foray into the gacha action RPG genre, Wuthering Waves. A massive amount of recognition as Mobile Game of the Year from Gaming on Phone, a nomination for Mobile Game of the Year from the Game Awards, Bill Clinton, and perhaps most importantly of all, especially considering the voting criteria, a spot in the final 5 for the only award that gamers themselves actually vote for. Player's Choice. If you haven't taken the time to do so already, now's the time to vote and cement Wuthering Waves as the best gacha game of 2024. Shameless plug aside, the fact of the matter when it comes to Kuro Games and Wuthering Waves is that these developers saved gacha gaming. Not because their game has the highest revenue, highest player count, or the highest playtime across its players. There are plenty of other titles within the genre that have claimed the top spots across this criteria through a combination of FOMO-fueled predatory character design, painfully designed story quests that farm engagement and playtime instead of actually delivering a good tale, and the good old first mover advantage spawned from the sheer convenience of launching their first hit game during the COVID-19 pandemic, where an unholy amount of new players from every social class ended up in the world of Tevyat. These games, led by what many consider the greediest company in gacha gaming, have degraded in quality to such a high degree and have left their player base feeling so unsatisfied that many of these top titles, namely Genshin Impact, are at the lowest levels of popularity they've ever been. This company, Hoyoverse, is likely the main reason why gacha in 2024 was deemed dead by many. Kuro Games, on the other hand, is the one bringing it back. And today we'll be taking the time to break down what they did, how they did it, and why they did it better than anybody else. As always, if you're enjoying this content, please hit that like and subscribe button. When you think about what possibly could have killed gacha in 2024, it's absurdly simple: corporate greed. It's fair to say that gacha games operate on a business model that heavily thrive on the amount of time players are spending on a game. When players stay logged on for as long as possible, it's more likely that they'll engage with the game's systems, grow a deeper connection with playable characters in the underlying world, and perhaps most importantly of all, spend those precious dollary dues on various items across the title's premium shop. When you're able to create an experience that players keep coming back to and consume for large periods of time, that's a surefire way of promoting player spending. That's why you'll find features like daily quests, discounted deals, and comprehensive story experiences across the top titles within the genre. Wuthering Waves is a game with all of these features, and it's clear that Kuro's implementation incorporates something devilishly simple in its design: a respect for the player's time. However, there are some games developed by one company in particular that have taken this monetary strategy to the next level, at the huge, disrespectful expense of their players' enjoyment of the game. One title in particular that has seen a disgusting drop in quality across its storytelling is one that got off to an incredibly strong start back in 2023, Honkai Star Rail. With an engaging start in the world of Belobog that combined condensed storytelling beats, concise motivations of characters, and visually stunning spectacles across their final boss fight, this story arc was considered one of the best stories ever told in the gacha genre, a sentiment that many, including myself, still hold to this day. This created one of the best first impressions in gacha gaming, and there were countless players who expected this level of quality and satisfaction to continue throughout the life cycle of the game. Oh, how young, foolish, and gullible we were. It turned out that Belobog and all of those promising signs were actually the biggest bait in gacha gaming. As Honkai Star Rail advanced into version 2.0 and a brand new planet called Penacony, many across the player base had high hopes for everything that was promised. A brand new cast of characters, interesting new exploration mechanics, and perhaps most importantly of all, a brand new story that would re-engage the player base after the overall disappointment that was the Janjo Lofu arc. Penacony and the entirety of 2.0 was, in fact, the complete opposite. When reflecting back on this region and referencing it on social media, this amazing spectacle isn't what's mentioned in the conversation. Instead, players constantly talk about this: the Sharmony Dove. This was the most repetitive metaphor in gacha gaming, told to the player so many times that most couldn't help but think that Hoyoverse was actively questioning their player's intelligence. Why else would there be a need to repeat this exact same image more than 2 or 3 times across the version's story quest? This planet was defined by absurdly bloated dialogue, hours of static images and blank screens filled with text, and character interactions that did nothing but literally waste the player's time. Tell me, what is this sentence actually supposed to mean?
It's not that I don't want to. It's just that I can't.
Oh, fuck. Oh, I hate this character. I hate Acheron so much. Not because of her design, but because of just every fucking thing that comes out of her mouth. It's not that I don't want to. It's just that I can't. I've come so far, and I can't sum up all of that in just a— What does this mean? After reading this sentence and hearing this dialogue, nothing changes. All of these negative aspects of the overall story design heavily overshadow the actual highlights, like the final boss battle of 2.2 that featured one of the best songs and cinematic boss fights in gacha gaming. When you factor in all of the tools Hoyoverse used to extend the playtime of the main story quest, it becomes clear that a good storytelling experience, what, people came to the game for in 1.0, was instead sacrificed in the pursuit of boosting analytics and driving more banner sales. And the worst part about all of this, the death of gacha triggered by Honkai Star Rail was a slow one, with the staggered release of every update masking the horrifically bloated playtime of the entire version 2.0 as a whole. When you look back at Penacony now, with everything wrapped up, it's clear that this was one of the worst storytelling experiences in gacha gaming. It's a worrying trend across Hoyoverse games that we've seen perpetuated and perfected in another title, with incredible experiences like an 11-hour world quest that literally locked off rewards and exploration across Sumeru in 3.0, and the worst disconnect across player expectations and developer execution in Natlan's story across 5.0, it became clear to many players that the story in Genshin Impact was, in all honesty, not worth experiencing anymore. Combine that with the most predatory practices we have ever seen in monetization across the region's limited characters, and you end up with quite literally the most unpopular region in Genshin Impact history. What an incredible result after those genuine tears we saw flowing from Dewey right before 5.0's launch.
原神项目组都贬得一无是处。
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
Kuro Games, on the other hand, did the exact opposite when it came to the design of their game. Predatory practices? They have lowered pities across every banner, a guaranteed weapon banner, and literal character dupes purchasable in the shop. A garbage storytelling experience? The devs implemented a comprehensive skip button in the first version of the game, ensuring that every player, whether they enjoyed the story or not, had the option to streamline their overall experience and focus on tasks or objectives that they actually wanted to do. The fact of the matter when it comes to a skip button is that it holds the devs accountable. They must craft a story worth listening to, a story that respects the player's time, or they'll lose interest, skip, and essentially punish the devs for poor decision making. Some Hoyoverse titles that lack a skip button, I have nothing but respect for the ZZZ devs here, have abused its absence entirely, and the absolute disaster that was Penacony's story and the disgusting design of Genshin's world quests are the only examples you need. These games are quite literally wasting your time and forcing you to view content you do not want to see so that you can actually do what you want to do. Play the goddamn game. Wuthering Waves is a game that guarantees that every second players spend on it is spent doing something that they actually want to do. That is the purpose of a game. And thankfully, other devs under the Hoyoverse umbrella have taken the initiative in following Kuro's footsteps, like with Zenless Zone Zero, to create that same level of enjoyment for their players. Gacha is healing, and it's all because of the brilliant example set forth by Kuro Games. And by supporting this company by giving it the recognition it deserves, we're likely going to see many of these other top titles follow in Kuro's footsteps and save their player base from further pain. As always, if you enjoyed this content, please hit that like and subscribe button. Peace out.